Hello everyone, I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. I did it. I got the courage. I fully detached and sold some items that I needed to let go of for quite some time. Some of these will surprise you, but the majority you've seen coming. Today I wanted to share those items, bags, small leather goods, and shoes, and let you know the reasons as to why I sold them. So I hope that you enjoy this video. If you do, make sure and give it a thumbs up. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Let's start off with the one that we all knew was bound to leave my collection sooner or later. The Chanel Le Boy bag in the new medium size in the black calfskin with the ruthenium hardware. This bag right here, I have had the most intense love-hate relationship, and I had it for approximately 4 years, somewhere along those lines, and in that entire time I used it maybe 20 to 25 times at most. And even though there are so many details that I appreciate about this bag, I absolutely love how edgy it is. I love the fact that it adds so much personality to the handbag. Even though I did like that, and I also like the size, I like the fact that I can fit quite a few items inside. Ultimately, the main reason why I had such a big love-hate relationship with it was because of the strap. The strap drove me nuts. It had a mind of its own. Whether I used it crossbody or whether I used it on my shoulder, it would constantly shift. And when I decided to use it on my shoulder, it didn't matter if I was wearing a jacket, a sweater, or if I had bare shoulders, it would still constantly rotate and, like I said before, have a mind of its own. So after about, I don't know, 2.5 years or something like that, I had a sales associate actually recommend me putting the leather part of the strap underneath the bag and just having the chain on my shoulder or however I wanted to carry it. And that seemed to work out for a little bit, but not long enough to the point where I would fall back in love with the bag. So it was just one of those things that I was thinking, why am I holding on to it? Why am I holding on to it? If anything, I complain about it, I gripe about it every single solitary time that I use it. And whenever I would go to possibly sell it, I would always go, no. What if this, what if that, you know? And it got to the point where I was thinking, I can't constantly think about the what ifs. If there are more cons than pros to a bag, and after I gave it its last hurrah and I tried to use it one last time, and if after that time I still continued to complain about it, then that lets me know it's time to go. I don't find it to be as user-friendly for myself as I would hope, you know? And moving forward, I definitely don't see myself getting the Le Boy bag in any other size and any other type of material. It's just one of those bags that I more so tend to appreciate from afar. But I will have to say that even though it took me years to finally realize that this bag is not for my lifestyle, I am happy that I gave it multiple chances and I tried it out various ways to see if it does end up suiting my lifestyle. You know, it's not like I completely just gave up on it. I know some people might not have the patience or might not give it as many chances as I did, but I am happy that I kind of went that way because I know that moving forward, as I said before, it's not a bag that I ever see myself getting again. So, you know, it's kind of like one of those things, lesson learned. Next, the Chanel wallet on chain in the classic red caviar leather with the silver hardware. Many of you know that I consider the Chanel wallet on chain in the black caviar leather with the gold hardware to be one of my best purchases from the fashion house of all time. I absolutely love the wallet on chain. Unfortunately, when it comes to the red one, I just didn't use it very often. Truth be told, I actually use it maybe once, twice a year. I would use it every single 4th of July, and sometimes I would use it during the holidays. Definitely, in my opinion, not enough. And it's one of those bags. This is actually the one that I had the hardest time detaching from, and it really came down to the color. A lot of you know that I am a huge fan of the color red, and it was one of those things that I felt like it somewhat eclipsed the fact that I didn't use it just because I thought it was too beautiful. You know, it was too beautiful to use. And if you guys did watch my my recent Minks Monday Q&A, I talked about how I would end up putting bags in bubbles, you know, to the point where I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want anything to happen to them. And this is something that I did with the red wallet on chain, you know, so I love the color. I love the combination that it had with the red and the silver hardware, but I still wouldn't end up using it. Every single solitary time I would end up going for the black wallet on chain, and that one I have used, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've used it and the amount of time that I've owned it. And with the red wallet on chain, I do believe that I had it for 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. And to only use it maybe once, twice a year at most in that time, like I said previously, it just wasn't enough. I felt like this bag was so incredibly beautiful. It deserved to be out and about. It deserved to be, you know, just out there mingling with other handbags. I know that sounds so silly. It didn't deserve to be in a dust bag, cooped up in my room on my shelf type of thing. So, you know, when the time came to get rid of it, I did use it one last time. Like I said, to me, giving one last hurrah, or giving a handbag or a small leather good one last go, kind of helps me verify if I am going in the right direction, you know. And after that last time, I even found myself kind of holding it away from my body just because I didn't want anything to happen to it. I know that might sound completely insane to some of you, but that's honestly what ended up happening. I was just kind of like, I don't want anything to happen to it. I looked totally weird walking around with it. So like I said, I gave it a go, and I knew it was time to say goodbye. So I did take a family portrait of all my red handbags before, just as a memento to have for myself. Yeah, I don't miss it because, like I said, when it comes to a wallet on chain, I just love the black one. The black one is so carefree, and it's the one that I tend to use the most, especially when we travel. So the red caviar, the classic red caviar leather that has been discontinued. I think they discontinued it, what, like 3 years ago or something like that. It was beautiful, but I had to say goodbye. Next up, the Dior Diorama Cruise Wallet on Chain in the metallic gunmetal leather with the champagne gold hardware. This bag / small leather good is absolutely beautiful, and I had really high hopes for it, but unfortunately it didn't work out the way that I had envisioned. Even though I did appreciate some of the details that it had, I found it to be a little too restricting, and as time went by, I also noticed quite a bit of wear and tear, a lot more than I would have liked. But what I ended up doing, I actually took video of it before I sent it out, because I very rarely talked about it on my channel, but I took video so that way I can give you guys a little bit more detail and show you a little bit more in depth as to the reasons why I decided to get rid of it. So let me insert that clip right now. So before I send this beauty out, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a visual as to what I was talking about on how restricting this guy can be. So usually with wallet on chains, we all know that you're not going to be able to fit everything in the kitchen sink. I knew that going into it. I kind of expected it to be like my Chanel wallet on chain, and you guys have heard me talk about that a million times. But when it comes to the Dior, it is a little bit deceiving, because when you first open it up, hang on, I'm trying to do this one-handed. One-handed. When you first open it up, you're like, oh my gosh, it's very generous. You have quite a few credit card slots, which I think is great, especially if you're going to be using this as a wallet. But the problem is that it can get bulky very, very quickly. So even though this gusset does open up quite a bit, it still doesn't allow you to fit a little bit more in there. There were times that I fit my phone in here and maybe like a lipstick, not much else. Because if I was to fit anything else besides the credit cards and, you know, my driver's license and all that other good stuff, if I try to fit any more items inside, I wouldn't be able to necessarily close this. It would get really, really bulky on the sides. So I kind of, I didn't want to do that just because I felt that this might end up wearing a lot faster as time went by. So that may be the reason why I didn't use it as often as I did. And it's kind of a shame too, because I love the color. I think that the gunmetal metallic is beautiful up against the, you know, the light gold hardware. And I was a little bit apprehensive as far as metallics go, just because I haven't had the best success in the past. And for the most part, it held up really nicely, but at the same time, I didn't use it as often as other items. But in that short amount of time, this is another thing that I want to show you guys. So this wallet on chain does come with a removable chain, which this chain is insanely gorgeous. It doesn't dig into your shoulder or anything like that. So I like the fact that I can take off the chain. So this chain, as great as it is to be able to remove it, I also noticed that it started to dig into the side of the wallet. I didn't use this too often, and for it to have this type of wear and tear in that short amount of time, I feel that it would end up getting a lot worse as time went by. You know what I mean? So like I said, it definitely is a shame because it is beautiful, but it is quite deceiving because it's a good size. It's large, you know, you're able to fit all of your wallet essentials in here, no problem. But if you're trying to fit other items and use it as a handbag, it's not necessarily the easiest. At least I didn't find it. I know some of you might have experienced it a little bit differently. And even if you were to use the little zippered compartment there, and if you were to fit your other items inside, it would still get way too bulky. So such a bummer. This one might surprise some of you guys, the Louis Vuitton Daily Pouch in the combo of monogram and sesame. This item is technically a small leather good, but I did use it as a clutch, so I consider it a handbag. And I did use it quite often last year, and I also praised it a few weeks ago in a previous Minks Monday. And I do like the idea of it. I love the combination that it has. I love the fact that it has the microfiber interior, so that way you can use it as a clutch, you can use it for your electronics. But I have come to terms with the fact that I am just not a clutch type of person. I need a strap. I have had the Louis Vuitton Toiletry Pouch 26 two other times. This one is very similar to it as far as the size of it, but the Toiletry 26 is of course a little bit wider, so you can definitely get away with carrying a few more items inside. But I am just not a clutch type of person. I have had other clutches from other fashion house, and every single solitary time I love them. I think that they are insanely beautiful. It just doesn't necessarily work out for me. Now with the Daily Pouch, I felt that it was very comfortable. I felt that it was a little bit more comfortable than the Toiletry 26 because it was so narrow. Every time I put it underneath my shoulder or underneath my arm, it's not like it was too bulky or it would dig into my skin or anything like that. But I need a strap. I need a strap. What can I say? I tried multiple times to add a strap to it to see if I can figure out a way to add it to the zipper. I think I even said that in the unboxing video, but to no avail. And every time I'd go to use it, I'd end up stepping away from it and going for something else just because I need a strap, whether it's on my shoulder or crossbody or something that I can use on my hand or wrap around my wrist. Just makes it a whole lot easier for me, you know. And I was actually talking to a girlfriend, and she said maybe it's because you talk with your hands too much, and if you have a clutch, it might end up falling out. That could very well be a possibility. Not gonna lie, it could be a possibility. But at the end of the day, it's just one of those. It's one of those items that I think is beautiful, and I also do consider it versatile. You don't necessarily have to use it as a clutch. You don't necessarily have to use it for your electronics. And I'm sure that there's other ways that people have incorporated it into their lifestyles. But after 3 items that look very similar in structure and very similar in size that I have purchased and sold, moving forward, I'm gonna have to get it through my thick skull that a clutch or the idea of a clutch is something that I like, but doesn't necessarily work out for me. This one might also surprise you, the Chanel Espadrilles in the pink canvas with the pink sequins. Even though I'm a huge fan of the color pink and an even bigger fan of sequins or anything shiny, when it comes to these espadrilles, unfortunately, I use them very rarely. And the main reason that is because they weren't the most comfortable, and it's because of the fabric material that they were. I do have another pair that is the same type of material, but those seem to break in a lot faster, versus these, I felt that even if I tried to break them in by wearing socks around the house or anything like that, they still weren't very comfortable, even though they were the exact same size as the other ones. But when it comes to espadrilles in general, I find that the lambskin is the most comfortable. I feel that with the lambskin, there's a very minimal break-in period, if a break-in period at all, you know. So if you are looking at adding some of these to your collection, I highly recommend going for the lambskin, because those I can wear for 8, 10, 12, 24 hours if need be, no issues, no problems whatsoever. Whereas the fabric ones, I just found that I can only wear them for a couple hours at a time, and then I'd have to switch out of them. So that's why I was saying, if you are looking for espadrilles, I highly recommend going for the lambskin. And moving forward, if I am going to add another pair of espadrilles to my collection, I know that for myself, I will end up steering clear of fabric, and I will go for lambskin or any other type of material that has a little bit more give to it. The next 3 items I'm going to put together because I got rid of them for the exact same reason. The first ones being the Chanel chain slides, and the Valentino PVC sandals, or the pool slides in the black with the gunmetal rock studs. The reason why I got rid of these 3, I just fell out of love with them. I think that they are so incredibly beautiful. I especially love the detail on the black Chanel chain slides, because not only did it have the chain, it also had a little bit of lace to it and some pearls, so I thought that they were insanely gorgeous. But out of the 2 styles, I would have to say that I feel that the Valentinos are a lot more comfortable than the Chanel chain slides, just because I feel like with those, you can wear them for extended periods of time, whereas with the chain ones, at least in my experience, I wasn't able to wear them for 6+ hours or anything like that very comfortably. I think at that last hour, I started to kind of feel my pinky toe having a little bit of pressure on it. And I don't necessarily have very wide feet either. And I also realized that I'm more of a, when it comes to sandals, I'm more of a flip-flop type of person. That's what I feel the most comfortable in. Not only that, I also like wedges, but with pool slides, I think that they're beautiful, and I think that they're great, and I use them quite often. When I did have them for, I think, one whole summer, I would use them non-stop, you know, but like I said, I just fell out of love with them. Alright guys, so that does it for my items I sold and why. Did any of these surprise you? And I'm curious, have you sold anything recently? And if so, let us know what it is and why you ended up selling it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button down below and hitting that bell so you're notified when I upload videos, which is anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. And I'll see you guys later. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not, the choice is yours. Have a great day.